Hello all, got the new Terache Aztex. I bought the 32 inches. Gonna mount a couple of them, install them on the Gen 3, see how much play I have. May have to do some trimming from what I hear. Also might have to get some spacers, so I'm gonna mount a couple of them and see how much play I got on the front and the back. If I need spacers, what size I'm gonna need. So got some new wheels too, gonna put them on. See what we got. We'll go from there. Catch you later. All right, as you can see, I got the tie down off the jack now. So I got the wheel turned all the way to the left. It's on the left side. As you can see, my issue is no longer the inner tire on the frame. So I think based on how my shocks are set. Some people on YouTube may have their sets, they adjusted their shocks differently, but mine is still set from stock. So my issue is not really the inner tire on the frame anymore. It's close, but it's still some space. Once I let it down, now the issue is straighten the tire. It's pretty close to that plastic now. And when I turn it in, I turn the steering wheel. Also, when it's completely turned out, it's now that plastic right here. It's pretty close and it's pretty much rubbing, so I think to solve my issue gonna be spacers. I don't think I'll really have to. I don't think I have to trim any plastic, but we'll see once I get the spacer. But yeah, I'm gonna put a tire on the back now and see what we got. All right, you can see I got the left back wheel mounted. We got some rubbing here on that frame. So, and it's all the way down. So, just rubbing on the frame right there. So, most likely gonna go with like at least a 1.5 inch spacer on the front and the back. See how that does. If it's any rubbing, I might have to trim the tire, but I think a 1.5 inch spacer might do the job. So these are 5+2 wheels. So yeah, once I get that installed, I'll be back to let you know, guys know how that turned out. What's up, guys? Finally got those wheel spacers in. So once I get those mounted up and the wheels mounted, I'll be back. See you then. All right, we're back. And what you're looking at now is the machine with the spacers only on the back. And if you notice, the machine is still pretty squared off with the spacers only on the back. It did fix the problem for the back, because we had this lug was rubbing right in here. So with the frame, the little bar on the frame, as it comes out, it angles more toward the front of the machine. So the further you move your wheel out, the more clearance you have. So I'm gonna see if y'all can see. You can actually see it. The wheel is clearing that lug now. So the spacers on the back did fix the problem on the back. But I did try the spacers on the front, but I didn't get the result I was hoping for. So I took the spacers off the front and I'm gonna keep them off. I was just hoping it could prevent me from doing some trimming that I didn't want to do, but if you buy these XXs and the 32 and put them on this machine, you are gonna have to do some trimming. So if you don't want to do any trimming in the mods, just buy the 30s, because this is a true 32. These machines are built to, you know, put 32s on without mods, but this XX is so different from your other tires. This because they're so square. Like this lug, you got a tall lug all the way from the inner to the outer side of the tire. It's like completely square, when most other tires they usually kind of angle toward the edge. But with this tire, you got so much lug on the edge, it's just gonna have problems with some of the plastics or the frame. So I am with you know, so, but what the spacers did, I thought, you know, and it's a lot different when, you know, some people, they showing you the clearance when the machine is jacked up, but when you put this machine down on the ground, the clearance is totally different. So what happened was, this was close, but I mean, it's rubbing without the spacers, but I thought the spacers would help me to clear, you know, the outside of it, but it didn't when turning. Because when you turn this wheel, when that lug gets to right here, it's gonna rub. And with the spacers on, so without the spacers, I'm pretty much gonna just have to trim. There's a little groove in here, so I'm probably gonna just follow the trim, and that should fix my problem without the spacers. But with the spacers on, it just made this lug just go further back into here. And there are a lot of plastic fasteners under here, but right in this corner, there is like a Torx screw. And if I use a spacer, I'm gonna end up having to take that Torx screw out and cut farther back here. So, and you know, a lot of people complaining about the plastics popping off on these machines, and I just feel like this is gonna make the situation worse. So I'm gonna try to avoid having to remove that Torx screw and cut further up. So I shouldn't have to cut but about this much. So I'm still gonna have to, right in here, when I turn the tire to whichever side I'm on, the right side or left, this lug it's rubbing right in here. So I think I'm just gonna have to trim that back some to fix that problem. And on the frame, this lug is on that part of the frame right down there. It is like when you're in a full turn, like a full lock, the lug on that side, it is rubbing, but it's not that bad, and you do have to be in a full lock to do it. So I'm not gonna really worry about that. I'm just gonna go without the spacers and trim a little here, and I'm gonna trim a little off of that. So once I do that, I'll be back with the final result and share it with you all later. All right, I'm back. I completed the cutting and trimming on the other side, on the left side, but I want to do a quick video right quick to show y'all on this side before I started cutting what I actually did. So, like I said, I cut most of this out pretty close to where that Torx screw goes in on the other side, from about here down through there. So on this inner panel, zoom it in, I cut about from here under this groove here all the way across to about here, and cut it up and cut that whole piece out. And I'm gonna pull the panel already taking the fasteners out, So from here you can see on the other side I cut about here. There's a groove under here, about to that first groove, all the way to where there's a little indentation here. And I cut it up, cut it all the way out and removed it. And also on this panel that I pulled out, see, this is the bottom, yeah. So this part here sits on top of that. So what I did on here is I cut across. So, yeah. Here I cut across here, right in front of those little things here, and cut all the way across, right in front of those, all the way across. And that gave me enough clearance with the machine down and some weight on it. So it go back and like that. Oh, so I gotta do that next. I'm gonna go on the other side and show you the result I got. So here is where I cut here. I'm gonna eventually probably try to smooth it out some more, but that's how I cut that on this side. And that's the part there that I was telling you I cut out. There's some dirt in there, but that's how it pretty much looks. Not too bad to me. In the back, this part is not horn, so you still don't have to worry about mud shooting up through there. It's just on this part that I cut out. So I took care not to damage these little pieces that slide in to lock it there. And so, like I said, I made sure I could put my torque screw back in, which it is in. And that's it. So I'm gonna get the other side done, and I'll be back. All right, so I just want to add a quick note. I look back on the other side. When I cut this piece that comes out here across the top there, I didn't go all the way across. I stopped right where I told you that. Well, so basically where I cut up and cut this piece out, I went across the top and I kind of angled back right there and slanted it back to its original, length right there, because I did want this to still be able to sit on top of there somewhere. So just so it could still sit on top of this part, at least to here when I slide it back in. So I just went across here pretty close, and once I got to where this meets right here, I just angled back and left some of that lip out. All right, I can show you again what I'm talking about. So you can see, get that to sit up there. See, I went across there, and angled back right above that little part that locks in, and kept it out, like that lip out right there, so it still sits on top of there. Cause it's just sitting there a little bit right there, but it's got pretty good securement right there. All right. So this is what that part looks like when it's cut out. Slide it like that. All right, on this panel, this is what it looks like after I trimmed it right across there. I just finished trimming the outside panel here. Not the cleanest, but I think it'll do for now. Might go back and sharpen it up some later, but I just wanted to get something out there. A video out to show you guys what I did to make my modification for the Aztex XXs. So I did, that torque screw got pretty close, but not too close to compromise it. So it's time to get it mounted up next and test it out. I'll be back with you guys later. I want to go ahead and show y'all what I use to do most of my cutting and trimming. I mostly use the Dremel. I use the Dremel in this cutting piece here. It'll cut a lot of different stuff, nails and, you know, metal, but that's mostly what I use. And if you're gonna use a Dremel like that, be careful because that plastic gets hot. It's, you know, it throws little tiny pieces of hot plastic, and it, you know, if you touch that plastic after using it, that plastic can stick to your fingers. So use some safety glasses or something if you're gonna do that. But that, like I say, most of my cutting I use that. Some of that on that outer panel down the side, I cut some of that with the hacksaw because it's, you know, long and straight cut, but the most of it and the cleaning up I did. And on the inside there, I did with the Dremel. I did do some cleaning up of some of that excess plastic with a box cutter. And most of it I did with little small razor blade. They ran through a few razor blades just to, you know, keep a sharp edge. Cut some of that little extra plastic off that, you know, the Dremel caused to melt. But, you know, it's not a messy job with the Dremel. Just be careful. But that's basically what I use. All right. Y'all saw some of the riding I did on the first ride with the XXs, the 32 inch. I know that's not a real test. A real test would be when it's at a mud park on a trail. I have a lot of turning, radius. Like I could turn pretty good without any issues. But I think the biggest problem I'm gonna have is on, if it's a hard turn, like, you got it fully locked. But from what I just did, I don't see it being an issue from, I could tell how much I will most likely be turning or having to turn. So I didn't have any issue with rubbing or anything. It kind of felt like when I came back in the yard and come off the curb that it might have hit that fender on the front a little, but kind of felt like it on the right side, but I don't know. So right now I'm satisfied. Rolled pretty good to me. Before I did the cutting of plastics and things, it was really, it was gonna be an issue with the 32. So if you don't want to have to do that, I recommend getting the 30s if you got the Gen 3. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it helps. If you have a Gen 3 and you're trying to decide on which size to go with, or whether you're gonna go with the 32s and do some trimming, I hope that helped. Thanks for watching.